So how much money am I missing out on? Like, a lot?
Thousands of dollars, Matt.
Well, at least that's not happening to everyone else. Oh,
Just you.
hey, Matt Robeson, Mike Morton, Financial Life Planning. This is not necessarily a good news situation for me. It's bad, and I just don't want the rest of us in our listener community to be going through the same things that I am. Let's start with the bad news. We always start with the bad news, and then make us feel better. We're all like missing lots and lots of easy money. That's terrible.
Yeah, there's free money sitting there for you to reach out and grab in terms of your employee benefits. And so we want to make sure that you are, during this open enrollment season in the fall, that you are not missing out on opportunities for grabbing some of that free cash.
How much are you really, were you being tongue in cheek, like with the thousands of dollars? Like you do mean thousands of dollars?
Yeah, literally thousands of dollars. Yeah. The employee benefits. In fact, now you're reminding me, Matt, when I took my very first job, this might be decades ago, a few decades ago, they presented me with the offer of here's your salary. And then here's how much your benefits are worth. And the benefits, I want to say my salary was like 40,000 and the benefits were like 10,000. Right. So like it was a lot of money that the company was, giving me in terms of the employee benefits working there, from healthcare and 401ks and all this stuff we're going to talk about today. So it really adds up to thousands of dollars, and you want to make sure you're maximizing that, taking advantage of what your employer's offering to you.
And some people who are listening might be familiar with a situation, if you have any kind of a management role for a large company, that there's all kinds of weird math that companies do in terms of how much their employees cost them. And at first, when I went to work for a large company, I thought, it's the salary, dumbwads. But no,
Right.
It turns out that what a lot of them do is they apply a multiplier to you, and it can be like 2.1. And so you take your salary and you multiply it out, because that's what it costs to house you in an office and to feed you all these benefits and to groom you with benefits. And most of it is the benefits, and it's a lot, right? Like it's,
right.
It's the 401k and the health. And then there are all these like other bells and whistles that sometimes come in there, and they're kind of amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And also, don't forget, as Matt likes to remind you, to stay tuned till the end, where we're going to tell you a quote about this might sound overwhelming. Oh my God, Mike, like my benefits, and I got to read this packet, how long this is, and I got to contact HR, and so the quote is about doing small things.
Oh, I was going to tease it. You gave it away. I was going to say, here's a hint for it. It sounds like a Blink 182 song, and now I've got that Cactus song stuck in my head, and I feel like I'm watching an early 2000s movie. All right. So let's just give a little bit of, I think we've been mysterious about this. Because I think there is a bottom line here, that there's a lot of good stuff. Just give me some of the big ones off the bat.
Yeah. So we talk about these ones all the time, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. And this was prompted by a Wall Street Journal article that talked about, some of these benefits. So we'll link to that in the show notes as well. Some of the quick hitting stuff that we've talked about on the show before is the 401k. Take advantage of your 401k or your 403b. That's the employer retirement plan. Much of the time, you might get a match, right? So they will match the first 4% that you put in there. So that's literally free money that they are going to give you. If you put in some money, your employer will also match that and put in some money for you. So you definitely want to at least take advantage of the match and put in that amount of your salary into the 401k.
Yeah, just our Audacity of Math segment. I mean, if you're making 50K, let's say, and you can get up to a 4% match and you're not taking advantage of it, like that's $2,000 of match right there. There's your thousands of dollars a year. I mean, your mileage may vary, but you get the point.
Yeah. And I run across it all the time. So luckily, most people are taking advantage of that, but really make sure you are. And the second one, that
extra percent, right? Like
that's exactly free money. That one's the easy one. And then the other one I don't want to spend too much time on, because we talk about the health savings account all the time, but many employers will offer you either an FSA, the flexible spending account, or the HSA, the health savings account. And these are medical savings accounts. They differ in how you use them, but essentially both of them have major tax benefits. So you will again save thousands of dollars by utilizing either FSA or the HSA if your employer offers those. And just a note on the FSA, it can be confusing. There's two different types of FSAs. There's the medical FSA and the dependent care. All right. But both of these have tax benefits. So again, if you see the words FSA, take advantage, look through the pamphlet, make sure you're taking advantage of the tax benefits there.
You had a crazy stat about this that really surprised me. Like just how many people are foregoing this amount of benefit.
Yeah. Only like 2 in 5, 40% of people are taking advantage of the FSA or the HSA benefits.
You know what this is? This is the CVS receipt theory of giving health and employee benefits, right? You know how you go into CVS and they give you a 10-foot long receipt and your immediate reaction is, I hate you. I hate you. Why are you handing me this massive piece of paper? Now I feel terrible. And the nice checkout people will literally say, would you like to skip the receipt? But they're not supposed to because it's corporate policy, because they want you to have this massive receipt because they know that it feels to you like they're giving you a big thing of value. And it is. If you used all of the, whatever they call them, extra bucks on there and all the discounts, you could save a lot of money, but 99% of the time you don't, right? You just recycle the thing. And that's essentially what's happening with these FSAs and HSAs.
That's exactly right. And that goes back to the first one, the 401k. There's been a major change in the last, 5 or 10 years to do auto enrollment, because probably the same statistic, probably like, half the people weren't taking advantage of the employer retirement plan. So now when you sign up for your job, you are more than likely auto enrolled in the 401k or 403b. So it's just going to, without you checking any boxes, you're going to automatically be doing it. And that's great massive for, the employees. So,
and I will say the FSAs and HSAs can, depending on your employer, be a pain in the butt. And they're working, at least my, N of 1 experience is that employers are working to make these easier. Like sometimes they'll give you like a debit card that's just for your medical expenses. And in the case of dependent care, flexible savings accounts, frequently you can just do like a single receipt end of year type thing. So it's not the most onerous thing in the world, but I know that's a little bit of a barrier. And that's probably why, 2 in 5.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm not a big fan of the FSAs, to be honest, because it just leads to a lot of tracking. Like you have to track. And if you don't use the money, you lose it. Unlike the HSA, that's why I'm much more a fan of the HSA, where it's your money, it's in your account. It's very easy to take advantage. The FSA is definitely a little more problematic. But again, you could save $1,000 in taxes alone. So it's worth, taking advantage of.
Well, and that's the thing that I come back to with a lot of the things you talk about in terms of like tricks, hacks, things to do. I think about them in terms of what's sort of like the implied hourly pay that I'm getting out of this, right? Like if it's going to take me, I gave an example, I don't know, months ago, that I ended up part of a class action lawsuit that had to do with, it's a long story. I've talked about it on the show. You can go back if you're really interested in the legal saga of Matt Robeson. But it did have to do with like mutual fund tax treatment and Vanguard behaving not so well. The point is that it took me like 6 hours of work, but on a per hour basis, it was massively worth it. It was like, it was like getting paid. I'm not going to say it was like, it was like getting paid a ton per hour. So I think about it in terms of those things, but I don't like the ones like these FSAs where you've really got to track receipts all the time, because that's a real like death by 1,000 cuts type thing. Anyway, we're way down a rabbit hole, but I can see why people take less advantage of those things than they should.
Yeah, but still, if you're going to do it per hour, I mean, even if you're spending a couple hours, $1,000, hey, that's a pretty good hourly rate.
That's true. If you could re-rationalize it that way, it makes sense. All right, what else you got?
Education and tuition benefits. All right, so a lot of employers will want you to improve your skills, so will give you money towards education. So either master's degree or other classes, and then even some of them are starting to do loan repayments and help you on paying back loans. I know student debt is a big problem. And so definitely take advantage of that. And I was reminded of this, Matt, when I first, again, back at that first job, they helped pay for my master's degree, right? That, again, a lot of employers want you to. I do. I am a master.
Well, now I think about you totally differently.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad. That's all it took, really, just having a master's degree.
I didn't say better.
Yeah. Exactly. So, it's, again, things to take advantage of that, it's money that they're offering. And of course, it makes sense from the employer. That's why they do it. But education and tuition benefits, I think, is a big one to make sure it's in there. If it's in there, is there some way that you can take advantage of that or want to use the opportunity?
Yeah, I remember getting those. I feel like this is a little bit more common. Tell me if this is true. I feel like it's a little bit more common in job positions that are a little earlier in one's career, where they really are trying to incentivize you to go get that master's program, or they're trying to attract you to the company and they know that they're not able to offer you more in terms of salary, but it's a perk for recruitment purposes. So I just remember more of that earlier in my career.
Yeah, or maybe you were paying more attention to it. I think there's a lot now too around like the conferences, right? So I know a lot of employees, will have some benefits like, oh, if you want to go to a conference, you can be reimbursed. So it's the same idea, like getting out there, networking, improving your skills. It helps the employer, of course, but it's, again, things that you can take advantage of. It could be hundreds or thousands of dollars.
Excellent. I guess this is a good question for all of these benefits. And I imagine the answer is different because some of them relate to tax preferred type accounts. But is this income for you in these cases? Like, is it treated like you're making more money for tax purposes?
Yeah, it really depends on the setup. So you do want to read the fine print. But yeah, that could be a problem with the tuition. If it's a reimbursement, a lot of these, if it's a reimbursement to you, then it is like they gave you the $3,000. And so therefore you get taxed on that. So you have to be careful who's paying for it, whether it's a reimbursement or kind of a direct benefit.
Right. Because otherwise you do get some tax write-off. I mean, I guess if you itemize for your student loan repayment interest, and anyway, it gets complicated. I imagine if someone's paying it for you, then you don't get that benefit. So
but hey, free money.
Free money. So. Right. Okay. More free money. Give us more free money.
So another big one I run across all the time is supplemental insurance. So many employers will offer different kinds of insurance. I often see it in kind of disability and life insurance that you can purchase. A lot of times you get a basic coverage for life insurance, disability insurance. The employer will add you to their group plan, but you also have the opportunity for purchasing some more insurance, either life or disability. And so definitely take a look at that and see if it's going to be cost effective and the right kind of coverage for you. Because this cuts both ways. Often I'll find it is pretty low cost coverage. It's not a lot of coverage, but it's a nice little boost. And it only costs a few dollars per pay period. It's really not that expensive. So that's great. On the other hand, it's really not covering your needs. Say you've got some young kids, you need some life insurance. You don't necessarily want to be tied to your employer's life insurance. What if you lose that job? Then you no longer have life insurance, but you probably still have your kids. So you might still need life insurance. So just be careful about tying it to the employer, and the coverage might not be everything that you need. So you might need some supplemental anyway.
Mike, I told you to stop listening in on my conversations in my kitchen with my wife. You just described my entire life situation. Dang it. I thought we weren't doing these kinds of personal stories. Dude, this exactly happened to me. I went to work for a large company, and first of all, I discovered that there are all kinds of insurance terms like AD&D. You know what's delicious? The idea of additional death and dismemberment. Oh yes, additional. I want more of that, please.
Dismemberment.
More
you love that one? Dismemberment.
My gosh, it's not encouraging. But exactly like you said, it was a few bucks per pay period. It was like pennies, and I was getting. If I got maimed, disfigured, boiled in acid, became the Toxic Avenger, any of those things were more or less covered. Not for a lot. Like if I became the Toxic Avenger, I think it paid out like $10,000. And none of that would help me fight crime. But it was something. And I got life insurance, which I'd never had before. And then when I was no longer a full-time employee, all of those things evaporated. And I eventually literally said in my kitchen to my wife a few weeks ago, I don't have any life insurance anymore. And I also don't have additional death and dismemberment, which I thought getting rid of that was good, but maybe it's not. So now I have to go and look into these things. And it is a little bit of a trap, but it's a nice thing. I just knowing that I had that coverage was kind of cool. That was a great little perk.
And I love your use of the word literally to mean that you actually did that thing, unlike how my kids use the word literally.
To mean figuratively.
Correct.
The important thing is that you pronounce it like Chris Traeger. You have to say literally. There's no other. After Rob Lowe changed that word, that's the only way to pronounce it. But yeah.
Well, I barely understood the way you pronounced it, but okay.
It's okay. I didn't understand additional death and dismemberment, but here we are.
Are.
So I am all of your caveats understood, but it's still like, it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Like this is if you get dismembered.
If you get dismembered, it's be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah. It is really inexpensive. So it's usually a good thing, but just be careful to also evaluate your needs.
Could we do a happier one that doesn't involve my maiming?
Yes, we could move on to wellness programs. You can head towards wellness.
Oh, good. Yes, it's like the other side of the coin. Yeah,
yeah.
Right.
So a lot of companies are now figured out that encouraging their employees to be in a better state of mind, physically and mentally, improves their work product. Right. So you could take that avenue of like,
how about this? If you paid me more, I'd be in a better state of mind.
Exactly. Well, you just pay me more. All right. Turns out actually that doesn't work that well. No. Quickly fades, and then you want even more.
True.
But so there's a lot of these, and I read employee benefits packages, and there's usually something in there around gym memberships, mental wellness. A lot of bigger companies will even have offices there, right? Having mental wellness as part of the offering, like on site. So there's a lot of things to take advantage of. Again, just look around and see what your company's offering in terms of gym membership reimbursements or other programs, and take advantage of them. I mean, it's free money. It's there for you, and so try to fit it in if it's something that makes sense.
I had a fun one of these working for a company where it turned out they would pay $40 a month toward your cell phone. I guess this was like a vestige of an earlier time when people had these big brick cell phones, and it was like, this is a novel idea. It's called mobile telephony, and we're going to try it out. But I was like, okay, what do I need to do? And it probably took me 3 minutes of filling out a form. 3 minutes, $500 a year. Okay, sure. Sign me up. That's a great hourly rate. And gym stuff, I don't know. No one's ever paid for my gym. But if someone will do that for you, I'm in favor of it.
Yeah, I see that quite a bit, that there's either reimbursements or something like that, some kind of programs or partnership with local gyms and stuff. So it's definitely, again, take advantage, take a look and see what's in there.
Some big companies will even have weird ones. Like now we're getting to the more esoteric out there, but like they'll have weird ones where they'll have like employee discount programs for buying consumer items, like buy with this code, get 10% off, special sales and inducements. Because if you work for a particularly large employer, it makes sense for them to do these kinds of promotional deals with large retailers. And again, it's the kind of thing like, hey, I've got to make a large purchase. I've got to get a laptop or something for my own personal use. All right, do it through this, save $300. Like, it's great.
Yeah, exactly. And another esoteric, just to round it out, that I've run across recently a few times is law and estate planning. That some of my clients have had in their employee benefits, that they've partnered with a law firm to, run your estate planning, create simple wills or trusts, and it's all included. And there's, $1,000 right there that you can work with the law offices that are partnered with your company. So it's bizarre, like what can be included in your employee benefits. And that's why it's worth taking, it might take you 20, 30 minutes to kind of like download the pamphlet, skim through it, maybe circle a couple of things, but that 20 or 30 minutes could save you thousands of dollars.
With your clients, what's the weirdest one you've ever seen? Like movie ticket discounts? Like what's the bizarrest?
There was one, and I didn't look into it, but it was like some smoking, quitting smoking, I think was in there. And then there was something else that I never looked up in terms of the name. It was like the gold bar something. It's like, oh, I should really look into
this. They want you to invest in bullion? Are they
it was just
they want
named
doubloons?
Something.
They're pirates?
It was named something so bizarre. But yeah, what's funny about it is I do read through so many of these benefits. And they're long, no doubt. It's, 10 or 15 pages because there's a lot of stuff in there. Most of it's the healthcare, the 401k, they really try to explain those kind of options. But then towards the bottom of these packages are lots of stuff, Matt. It's unbelievable. There's and I keep thinking, man, I wish I was employed by one of these guys. That I could read through these couple of pages and there's maybe 5 or 8 different programs that are listed. The things that we've talked about today and some other ones as well that are all listed there, that are all a part of things that you can take advantage of.
So my final question on this before we get to our one thing segment is, as part of the financial life planning empire, can I expect free movie tickets? And what happens if I get dismembered at the theater?
That's why there will be no free movie tickets, Matt. You were staying in your safe bubble at home.
I'd like to avail myself of some of your free legal services. I have some complaints.
Luckily, I don't have any legal services, so yeah, that's why they're free.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, you can. I'll give you all the legal opinions you want. All right, let's get to your boy, James Clear. This is he's the man. One of your favorites.
I like James Clear, and part of the reason he's featured on the episode so often is because I do get a weekly newsletter from him that I read through, and it's a great 1 or 2 minutes read, and especially because you get a couple some of these quotes that can really resonate at the right time. It's like reading a right book at the right time, and so some of them will come through, and this was a good one. That the quote is, "One of the simplest ways to win is to always connect the small things you do to the larger thing you hope to accomplish. 5 minutes can be spent working on something trivial or working on something life-changing. A brief session of work oriented toward a great cause is always time well spent." And what struck me about the quote is really that idea that stringing together small actions, a couple of minutes here, a couple of minutes there, but all in service of a bigger goal, really, really does move the needle. It's like our whole, compounding, put in some, get a low cost index fund, let it run for a while. These small things can really compound to something large over time.
I like the idea embedded in there of just being intentional about it. It's not every 5 minutes that you put towards something is equally valuable. The key part to me is the nexus to the larger cause, as he puts it, and being very aware of what you're trying to accomplish, which is why I see exactly why you chose this as kind of the connection point as a one thing segment to the larger theme of the episode, which is, I think the step back of, what am I have to take time, and I might have to start, setting up a system, for example, for a flexible savings account. I might need to start saving some receipts. That's a bit of a pain. But stepping back and thinking about it from the standpoint of, well, the larger cause here is, I have a goal to get $5,000 of value out of, these employee benefits. And I want to do it with less than 5 hours of my time spent this year. I want to be paid $1,000 an hour for my work on this. When you put it in that framework, and, then great, sign me up. And for me, I find that motivational to, okay, I've got to take the 5 minutes. I've got to go through my CVS receipt. I've got to get the extra care bucks. I got to use them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I love that idea too. I mean, making sure you tie it to the larger purpose will really help you to stay on track with those couple of minutes, every day, or a couple of minutes every week or every month. It doesn't take much. Those small steps towards a larger purpose really will add up over time.
And if I can connect it to one other idea that you put into, I don't know, this episode might have been a year ago. This is a deep cut in Mike Morton, Alia. What do you call
the Wayback Machine?
Right, the Wayback Machine. You suggested get rid of to-do lists, right? To-do lists are a bad way to organize yourself. Start putting things on the calendar. And this idea of 5 minutes toward something valuable, I don't know, it dredges it up for me, because if I had something to my to-do list and it's like, collect receipts from medical expenses this week, I'm always going to find a way to push that down to the bottom of the list.
Right.
If I schedule, when we're done here, if I have on my calendar, I've got 10 minutes on my calendar to do these tasks, I'm going to do it. And then at the end of the year, I'm going to be really glad I did. So anyway, another great piece of Mike Morton advice.
Yeah. And quick pro tip, you said something there, if you can couple things together is a great way to make sure that you do those couple of minutes, So stretching at the end of your workout, right? Hey, I just did my 35-minute workout. I'm going to just spend like 3 minutes stretching. I always stretch at the end of my workouts. So we put things together back to back. It's going to wire them together in your brain. So there you go, Matt.
Well, and it's also, all right, this will be my very last thing. But I mean, the whole point is atomic habits, right? It's you go from calendaring the 5 minutes to make it part of a habit, and you get the feedback of the success that it leads to, and it becomes an atomic habit. Oh my gosh, we've just entered the James Clear, Mike Morton metaverse. Amazing. I'm going to sprain a shoulder patting myself on the back here, and I'm going to avail myself of some free employee benefits for my medical care because I've dismembered myself. All right, Mike Morton, Matt Robeson, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for joining us on Financial Life Planning. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to and rate the podcast on Apple iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. It makes a massive difference. If you have a comment or question, please email me, mike@mortonfa.com. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. This recording is for informational purposes only and should not be considered for investment advice. Opinions expressed are as of the date of recording. Such opinions are subject to change. I cannot guarantee the accuracy or completeness of the data presented here.